don't you learn?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy, why don't you learn to drive? Arasha?
Row.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not know
No. That was all mine.
You behind me. That was crazy.
Yeah. That was on me. That was me. Where are you going? Are you going on the 5 or the 1 or the 10?
I'm going on Spitball freeways.
Oh, got it.
We're only the ones allowed to drive.
Copy. I'm on the 2.
Okay. I never know when people ask me that. I don't know.
I am trying to learn now so that way I can keep up in conversation.
Right.
So I have like a couple in the dome to like, you know.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I've lived in Los Angeles for like literally close to 10 years. I don't know, like 8. No, it's like 6. Okay. And I literally, people will be like, what did you take to get here? And I'm like, I don't know. End the conversation.
Yeah. Okay, here's another go-to. This can fit into any conversation.
Okay.
405 is pretty backed up this morning.
That is true. It frequently is.
Literally.
I think.
At any time of the day. Even if you just drove at 10 p.m., just the 405 this morning. And everyone would be like, oh my gosh, yeah.
If I said that when I got to work, people would be like, what were you doing over there? And I'd be like, oh.
I think it's all throughout LA.
Is it?
I think it's like the 405 and then the 2 and then the 1 and then the 10 and then the Pacific Coast Highway.
I always tell people like whenever they're like,
the 10.
They're like, what did you take to get here? And I'm like, I literally took the blue line.
I took a car.
And then they're like, oh, you took the metro? I'm like, no, I followed the blue line on my Apple Maps. So literally, I never know.
Yeah.
Like I take from like going to work, I take like, it's like merge onto the Hollywood freeway. What's that?
Right. No. I'm like always clicking to like zoom in because it like doesn't ever tell you which lane you're supposed to be in accurately.
I know.
Like it's like exit toward west and east. And then it's like, okay, and you're following the lane, and then it's like, but be in that left lane because you have to turn west, and you're like, but I'm going east.
Yes. No, literally. I know. Because especially like in Los Angeles, like there's so many, there's like, you're like, I don't have I'm driving a car. I don't have time to read the paragraph of signs that's in front of me. Just tell me where I need to go.
Exactly.
In a lot of like avenues of my life, I will look at people. I'd be like, explain it to me like you're talking to a 5-year-old. And just for an exercise for you.
Right.
Not that I'm dumb. But like I need like a navigation system that's literally like, get on the freeway and then literally get over like to this lane and like stay there, but like get ready, like anything could happen.
Yeah. I'll be your passenger princess then, because I'm the best at doing that. At being like, you got about 2 miles till your exit, so like go over there when you're ready.
I do the same thing. I tell them, I get ahead of it. Like I literally like I'll be giving directions and like I'll literally be like, and then you're gonna turn right on San Diego. And Bridget's like, we're in Los Feliz, we have time. And I'm like,
you're
okay.
like, just preparing you, letting you know.
Yeah, just let you know. Good morning, Los Angeles.
Yes, good morning. And if you are in Los Angeles or have any knowledge about Los Angeles, you know that one of the main topics inside of the city is driving.
Big fat driving.
Driving is honestly one of the main reasons. Driving is one of the main reasons that we are upset all the time. Like, genuinely, I think when I talk to people about, like, oh, like, how are you enjoying LA? Or, you know, like, what do you think about the city? Like, the first thing that is going to be talked about is the traffic and the drivers and the roads and all of that nonsense. It's
really, really something. It's something and you know what it is something I'm getting sick of. Yeah. Like, in a real, real way. There's a lot of shit. I gotta be honest. I don't want to sound super negative in this episode, but there's a lot of shit about LA I'm getting sick and tired of.
Yeah?
Yeah. And like, we went home for the holidays for Thanksgiving. We went to Colorado, and which is where my girlfriend's from. And like, me and her were like, look at the freeway. Like, smooth sailing. Like, Bridget's like, I've been going a constant speed for 15 minutes. And then like, we went to like their version of Ralph's, which is King Soopers. And I was like, I got like 2 things of cookie dough, a creamer, a Snickers, Diet Coke. Listen, okay.
I'm loving this diet.
Yeah, like I was like really like going in on stuff, and I was like, this is gonna and a couple other things, and I was like, this is gonna cost me $40. $17. I was like, LA is fart hole.
No, it's actually absurd. The driving comment too on that is so real. Like, you drive anywhere else and you're like, oh my gosh. Another experiment too, like if you aren't traveling to another place, drive at LA at 4 a.m. Drive at 4:30 a.m. and you're like, wait, why did it just take me 14 minutes to get from Venice to Pasadena.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is on the road.
Yep.
Like LA is spread out, but so much of the time it gets from place to place is just because there's so many yellow and red lines like that just take up the whole traffic thing. I mean, this is like a coloring map that we see every day.
Yep. It's so frustrating. I always like if I leave my house to get to where I work, if I leave my house at like between like 7:30 and 8, I can be there in 14 minutes. If I leave anywhere past 8, I have to give myself like 45 minutes to get there. It's like, and it's so frustrating. It's like 4 miles.
It's upsetting. It is. I mean, definitely something that it has helped me with, though, is time management.
Yeah.
Like, in particular, actually, like, so today, right, I was taking berries in Hollywood. And even though the drive was like 25, 30 minutes, it's still in my head is always just like, you know what? Let me just plan to get there 10 minutes early and let me pretend like that 30 minutes is actually going to turn into a 40. And so then you get where you need to be like, 20 minutes early, but it ends up actually always being a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you have the time to settle. And then on the very big probability that it isn't actually 20 minutes early and the traffic ticks up, like then you're not rushing.
Yeah. You know, I can't stand it. And I was like late here today and you know me, like I hate being late. It makes my skin crawl. It makes me like feel hot. And like I hate rushing. I hate being late. So I always I want to be the person who's like abundantly early. And it's because I'm a retired late person.
Yes.
I used to be late to everything all the time. I literally would be like, oh, I should get to work like at the exact time that like my shift starts. And it's like, no, I like to be early because you know what they say in Hollywood? They say early's on time is late.
And late is unacceptable.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like having that mentality, and it also like it really does factor in the driving here is unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. You get on literally you get on the highway and you're like, oh, they're filming a music video.
Right.
It's like you never know what's going on.
Totally. And you know, I think I at this time, I think I can also claim that I am a retired late person as well.
Sure.
I used to be that way, definitely. I would always be like rushing in and like, you know, especially when it came to like work too, I was like sprinting to clock in and not, you know, be tardy and stuff. And that sucked because that rush also just like impacts your entire day.
Yep.
Right? Like then you're in the car and when you're driving, like then you don't want to let people in because you're like, I need to go. I can't be nice right now.
Yeah.
Versus if you give yourself that time, you're able to be like, go on in there.
Yep.
Like, we've got plenty of time. No rush.
I also don't like rushing when I'm driving because it makes me feel unsafe. Like I mean, that's like kind of an obvious statement, but it's like I don't like. It's like I don't speed. I don't like to speed. I don't like to like whatever, you know. So it's just like I'd rather just give myself the time.
But not just the like traffic. Let's actually talk about some of the driving.
Okay, can I tell you a story?
Please.
Okay, people are insane. There was this one time that I was on the Hollywood freeway, whatever number it is.
101.
Is it?
I know that one.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So I'm on there and
or maybe it's the 170 to go north.
Wait, that feels right.
The one okay.
I don't know. So I was driving to go see a movie at City Walk and I was like driving on the highway and this car was like to the left of me and they just completely cut across like in a very dangerous way when I was taking an exit to get off. So they like cut right in front of me. I was like, whoa. So I honk and I flashed my lights too because I was like, you're being crazy, which is probably not good. I know flashing your lights isn't good, but I was like, hello? Like almost like I was like, are you awake? Like the way you just cut like that.
Sometimes there's a difference, just to cut in real quick. There's a difference between like blaring your horn and holding it for 15 seconds because you're trying to be an asshole or just being like beep, like the light's green or like, hey, flashing lights, like, are you alert? Are you okay?
Right. So I was just like, oh my God, I do that. And then the car continues to cut. So now I'm on the exit. The car continues to cut all the way to the right lane. So now they've gone like all the way across all the freeway lanes. We get to the exit and now they're on the far right. They're turning right at the stoplight. I'm turning left. There's now a car in front of me that was already kind of ahead of me and is now also in the left lane. And the crazy car goes right. I never see them again. but the light turns green. We go forward and the car in front of me falls back. And then I continue driving, la, 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 and they get behind me and they get right up on my ass. They're flashing their lights. They're honking just like I was doing to the car from the freeway. They thought I had been doing that to them for some reason because they were just a little ahead of me, but I was alerting the person who had cut. This person rode actually my bumper all the way to City Walk, going honk, like flash, flash, like honk, 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 flash, 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 flash. I was so scared. And I was like, I'm like driving. I was like, oh my God, that wasn't for you. Like that, when I had been doing that, it wasn't for that person. And they followed me all the way to the parking garage and they were right up on my ass, honking, honking. And he's out the window screaming at me, like literally screaming. And I was so scared. But you guess where I was? The employee entrance.
I was going to say, you had protection, though.
So I literally swipe my ID and I go in the parking garage. He can't get in. And now he was blocked in by other people trying to get in. But I was like, it was insane. I was like, why are you following me? And that's why it's scary, right? Because I was like, if that had just been a normal parking garage where he could have followed me in, was he going to park and get out because he was road raging about a situation that had nothing to do with him?
Right.
But it was scary. And I was literally like, in my car, I'm like, it wasn't you. It wasn't even about you.
And also just like, move on, King. Like you're going to be that upset that somebody honked at you. Like in your head, you're like, oh, they honked at me and now I want their death.
It was crazy. He was like really driving recklessly and like screaming out the window. And I was like, okay, like it was crazy.
That reminded me of a story from, this was actually not in LA. This was back in San Antonio. And it was when I was a child. I remember I was in 6th grade. I think I was definitely in middle school. And my mom had picked me up to go to a doctor's appointment in the middle of the day.
Love.
And
Did you come back with McDonald's and everyone was jealous?
Of course.
Obviously.
But as we were leaving, right, when we come back, we were to like get back to my middle school. Like there was like a highway in the middle. My mom had to like merge. So I remember we were like waiting for a second and then eventually she like slowly merged into like the rightmost lane, which is like the little like pocket before you can like merge onto the highway. So she like turns and merges and whatever. And then she like gets into this lane. This car that's like way back there that is like speeding, going so quickly, just like goes all the way up. All the other lanes are open, but just goes right up and then like brakes right up until like my mom's car and honks for I could say 60 seconds. I'm not kidding. Like they just held it down. And my mom was literally just like, it's okay. Like we're just going to drive, whatever. He's continuing to honk.
And this is like she's driving?
She's driving.
He's just not okay with her speed?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so then like she turns, she gets into another lane and he like goes around and he does this thing where he's like slowing down next to us to like start screaming and everything. And my mom's like, just don't look, ignore it, whatever.
Good, yeah.
He follows us.
Oh my God.
He goes all the way into my middle school.
Like the parking lot?
We pull into the middle school parking lot and he's still behind us. And right before we get out of the car, my mom turns to me and she goes, just stay in the car. It'll be okay. And then does a little like prayer to herself, which frightened the hell out of me as a kid. Like I watched her and I was just like, what is about to happen?
Yeah.
So she gets out of the car, she turns, and this guy starts screaming at my mother. He's like, what do you think you're doing? How are you driving? Like, that is incredibly dangerous. And he's wearing scrubs, right? So he goes, I have a surgery that I need to get to right now.
Well, bitch, get there. Why are you at the middle school? Yeah.
Why are you at my middle school then yelling at us when you have a surgery that you need to get to? He's like screaming and he goes, the cops are on their way. The cops are coming. And my poor mother is just like, she's like, sir, I'm very sorry. Please leave. Yeah. Like this is my kid's middle school. Like this is inappropriate. Please leave. And he's like, you're lucky. You're lucky. And like gets in the car and leaves.
That's so traumatizing.
Incredibly traumatizing.
Oh
I know that my mom and I have talked about it like so many times after the fact because we continue to be like, remember that one guy? Like,
yeah.
Talk about fear.
Yeah. It's crazy how things like that, it's like, now I feel like in adulthood, things will happen that are like vaguely traumatic or whatever. And we're able to be like, oh my God, remember when that happened? But it's stories like those from childhood that it's like, that was your first experience with road rage. So you'll remember it forever.
Exactly.
And it has like a stamp on like that part of your years, your formative years.
And it definitely like, the way that my mom handled it, like, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to go about situations like this, but it's interesting that definitely taught me something, you know? Like, if my mom was more of an aggressive person and got out of the car and started, like, yelling back, I wonder if that would have shaped me differently, too. If she would have gotten out and been like, no, you are out of line, and started, like, screaming at him, like, maybe it would have been like, okay, like maybe I need to be a little like stronger in that front and advocate for myself. And versus the other side, which I feel like I have been overly apologetic. And especially when it comes to drivers, I'm always like, sorry. And it's like, I don't know if that's the right way to go about it.
I know.
It's just interesting that, like, again, you can see those things from childhood and you end up being like, okay, that's the way that I'm supposed to handle things or interact.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It feels to me like I definitely have struggled in my life with being like overly apologetic, and I've tried to like make an effort in my life to not say sorry for things I'm not sorry for. But I do find in 90% of cases in my life, I'd rather just say sorry or just be like, okay, sure, my bad, if that makes you feel better. Like, you know, it's like I don't feel so inclined to like meet aggression with aggression. It's just like not my style. So it's like, even if I knew I was in the right, like your mom like was like, I agree that I'd rather just be like, you're insane, okay, I'm sorry.
Right. And it totally makes sense, like that the priority there wasn't I will win this argument.
And
or,
I have
like,
a child in the car, by the way.
Exactly.
Like, you know, like there were so many factors at play with a situation like that. She's driving you, you're a child, this person's insane. I want to say, I don't know if this is like problematic or crazy, but I'm like, I feel like there is like gotta be some kind of classification for like vehicular mental illness, because like actually there are people who like, there's something that happens to some people who get in a car and they just like act it, like road rage is insane.
Oh, absolutely.
Have you seen, there was like a while ago on the news where like this guy was, it was like, there was a route that he was taking to work was blocked off by like a local parade, and he just decided, he was like pissed off and he was like, oh, the world like revolves around me. So he drove like opposite, like onto oncoming traffic, like on the other side of the road, because the parade route was blocking his route. And he was like, well, I have to get where I'm going. So he like drove very fast on the opposite side of the road and put so many people in danger. And I'm like, that is like mental illness.
No, I see what you're saying here, because you're right. Road rage is a very real and very scary thing. I think where it gets possibly into that maybe like world is the idea, the psychological part of being in your car and being like, I'm protected in this little box here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if we all had like our windows down, or like we didn't have like a hood over it, I don't know how brave people would feel like like flipping people off and like honking their horn and stuff like that, like, or hiding behind their sunglasses. Like there's an element of just like, you can't get to me because I'm in my own little car and I get to do whatever I want.
And it's kind of like this outward like display of status in a way, where it like almost is this representation of like, I think I'm better than you, almost like, you know, I've never understood the logic behind like having a really expensive, nice car and the correlation that it has with driving recklessly. It's like, if I was driving a super, super nice car, I would be like, I'm letting people go. I don't want anyone near me. I paid a ton of money. But you see these people with like such expensive cars and they're driving like assholes. And I think that is like this kind of like almost representation of like, oh, well, I have more status than you. I can get away with things.
I can do whatever it is that I want. I can cut right in front of you and stuff like that. And you know what?
It's like, why am I? What do you think? I'm not crazy as fucking. I'm just gonna like bump your nice Porsche because you're pissing me off.
No, and that I think is another. That's a parallel to it as well. Is there's so many drivers, especially out here in LA, and I think this is another correlation between like some sort of mentality that we have out here, which is a lack of consideration for others.
Yeah, totally.
Everybody, not everybody, a lot of drivers out here do not think about other people and where they need to go, or like for like the examples, right, of like letting people in front of you, right, in the lane, or turning your turn signal on.
Right.
Like those are so basic to me, of just like, you're not only doing that, like, obviously to let other people know, but literally it is a safety thing. Like, you have to be able to tell someone you are slowing down so that you can merge into this lane. Like,
Yes.
that is just absolute ridiculousness to me, because it is on the way to turning the wheel. Like, just simply drop the indicator.
And how are you supposed to, like, there's no argument to be made if you don't put your blinker on and then you get bumped or hit by someone. You can't argue with, like, well, I was going there. I didn't know that.
Right.
Like, I didn't know that. How there's literally one way that you could have let me know that and you didn't. So now it's on you.
Everybody is just like, I am in it for myself. I need to go where I need to go, and nobody else is in a rush. Nobody else has another situation that I need to think about.
Yep. It's honestly, like, it really is almost this metaphor. I want to talk about, too. So I never in my life till I moved to Los Angeles had experienced lane splitting by motorcycles.
Oh, my gosh.
Do they have that in Texas?
I definitely grew up with some of that. Yeah. It wasn't new to me.
I had never seen it ever. And I remember, like, my first week in LA, for those of you who don't know, here in Los Angeles, it's legal if you are on a motorcycle, you can lane split. So you can just drive up the
Is that legal? Because I had heard that it was illegal.
I think it's legal, last I heard. Well, if it's not, people do it all the time. I see police officers doing it all the time, but they do whatever anyways. But so I'd never seen it. And I think it's horrifying, and I think it's a bad idea personally, because it's like, again, who's to say, like, you're sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic, but a motorcyclist is coming up and someone's like, you know what, I don't want to be on the freeway anymore. I'm going to take that exit. And then they pull out and they hit the motorcyclist.
Completely.
Boom. I've had 2 friends die in motorcycle accidents. So it's like, God. Literally, like, I just think whatever. So when I was like 19 or so, I was visiting Los Angeles. And so I guess, like, I had seen lane splitting when I came out here to visit. And we were in Malibu because we were going surfing. It was me, Emily, and our friend. And we're, like, driving through Malibu and like, really, like, puts her, like, really seamlessly, gently goes to merge, and she has her turn signal on. All of a sudden, behind us, we hear, like, this, honk, whatever, and then lights. And there was a police officer lane splitting. And she, like, pulled out in front of him, did not see him because he was going crazy fast and whatever. So his lights go on and we're like, oops. And so we get pulled over, and I'll never forget. And just sitting there, and she's like, oh my God, I did you guys even see him? And we're like, no, like, really, we did not. And obviously nothing happened. She didn't hit him. It was just a little too close for comfort. And he comes over and he knocks on her, like, window, and she's, like, putting it down. And he just goes, do you have a father? And she goes, what? And he goes, do you have a father? And I was like, and she goes, yes, yeah. And he goes, great. I'm a father of 2 girls, and you almost just took their father away from them because you almost just hit and killed me.
That is just a ridiculous question, and I hate the aggressiveness that he just came at her with. Are you kidding?
It just was, like, so it was so crazy. Like, and I understood his anger, so he could have, like, easily come up and been like, that was what you have to look out for motorcyclists.
Sure.
But the way that he literally was like, you almost just killed me and left my daughters fatherless, like, that was a lot to put on a girl driving a car, just being like, I'm sorry. It was crazy.
No.
I was in the back. I was like, ugh.
There is literally zero room for that kind of aggression or intimidation, especially from a police officer. Are you kidding?
Well,
like,
that's like the,
right. But it's just like,
it's crazy.
You're not helping your reputation out here,
And he didn't give her a ticket. He just wanted to, like, make her feel really bad. And of course she felt awful. I want to ask,
so ridiculous.
Have you been pulled over?
I got my first ticket this year.
You got pulled over?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did I know about this?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It was for speeding, though.
Right.
Yeah. Which, let me say, I'm not, like, a crazy speeder. I like joked about it when I got it at the time, and people were like, Arasha, you need to slow down. And I was like, I'm not actually, like, a speed demon by any means. I had gotten a speeding ticket for driving. It was like 11 miles over the speed limit. And it was, like, on one of those, like, residential areas where it's like 35 miles per hour, but it's like, it's empty right now. I'm going to go like 45 and it doesn't actually feel like I'm going all that fast kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gotten pulled over and I genuinely was like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is my first time getting pulled over.
Where were they? Were they like tucked away? Did you see them?
I saw it a little too late. It was like a police on a bike and I saw it and I like slowed down on a motorcycle.
They're like,
on training wheels. They're like, hold up. I was like, I was definitely upset. But then it was just kind of like, you know what? Who cares?
Was it expensive?
No, it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
And because it was my first, and I think at the time, I was like, it was this year. So I think it's like if you're 25 and under, like it doesn't actually like stay on your permanent record or something like that. There's some sort of rule that I'm flubbing at the moment. But I remember him being like, it's really not a big deal. And I was like, then go away.
Right. Then why is it go get something else to do?
Right. But I remember, I think it was like the end of the month. And that's always like when they need to fulfill their tickets,
I guess,
quota of the month. So I was like, all right, I guess you're just doing your job.
That's tough.
Shifting gears.
Hey, that's like a good episode title.
Thank you. Shifting gears for a moment, because that was my first speeding ticket and getting pulled over. This year, I also got my first parking ticket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God. Really? You've been in LA for this long, you haven't got a parking ticket?
I know.
Wow.
No, I know. And after the first, I got a second one immediately, which was so funny. I paid off the first one, and then I was like, I just paid that off, and I feel good about it. And I went to my car, and there was another ticket on there, and I was like, well.
Literally?
And then I got that third one that I texted you about when I just like, and that one was fully my fault. I had pulled into
Republic of Pie?
No, it was at a cafe in Larchmont. It was like early in the morning and I like pulled into a meter, and you ever just like pull into a meter and you're just like, I don't know who that is, and you just don't pay the meter and just go into the cafe and be there for an hour and a half and then walk out and you're like, oh yeah.
I can't say I have, but I respect your journey.
Yeah, I wasn't mad about that one. So now they're a lot looser. Now that I've popped those cherries, I'm like, parking ticket, whatever.
I feel like in Los Angeles, literally, you'll like come back to your car and it'll be a parking ticket that's like, we heard you fart on the way out of your car. Here's $60. Pay it by the end of the month.
It's always $60.
It is. I've gotten parking tickets like, and the other thing about it is that it's like you park in a spot and there's a sign that has a sign that has a sign that has two signs that has a sign that has another sign, and it's literally like, you can't park here between 9 and 12, and you definitely can't park here on Tuesday. And if you even think about parking here, you have a ticket already, and also you should die.
And then this Zone R permits exempt. And it's like, what is
that was another thing while we were in Colorado. I was like, because this is what, back earlier when I said like there's certain things about Los Angeles I'm just getting sick of. That's like one of the things I'm sick of, like being like, I want to leave my house right now and go somewhere. Oh, I have to think about how hard that is. There's nowhere to park. If you do find somewhere, like, that's another reason to be early, right? It's like traffic might be one thing. Parking might take you 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, can we just have parking lots?
Can we just always be able to park? Like in so many areas, I love when they're like, parking garage in here, 90 minutes for free.
I'm like, say less, daddy.
Say less. I'm going in there and then I'm going to pull out at 89 minutes and go right back in.
I've done that before.
So good. So good. Were you good? Are you good at parallel parking?
I think so. Here's the thing. I learned how to drive with the car that had cameras, and I have only ever had cars with cameras. And would I be able to parallel park without them? Probably not.
Wow. Flex.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's like, I've just always had them. I feel like they're in a lot of cars.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the one that I like when I got my like driver's license, I had the classic like go around the seat, pull it around, and then like adjust it and stuff. So then the cameras felt like, oh, this is a lot easier.
Yeah.
I will also give Fabian like 98% of credit. Like I am an amazing parallel parker now, and it's because of him. Like
Great.
The way that he simply is just able to be like, oh, I can fit there, and just does like two quick little motions. I'm like, wow.
Working with just mirrors is tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But there's also like rules. I think I saw something before on social media that was like, your rear view mirror should be like a 90-degree angle toward the curb, and like the back wheel of your, I don't remember literally any of it, but I'm sure that there are some good hacks for people.
Yeah, no, I think I'm an okay parallel parker.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly, I don't think I'm bad actually. Like, I think I can just do it. I might not be great, but I can do it.
Definitely have improved. For me, I think since the beginning with all the parking too.
You have to be able to do it here, especially, and big cities in general.
Well, it's also just like it's hard too for me with the signs because like I remember the first few weeks that I was in LA, like I would pull into a street, I would see a spot, and it would say like no parking 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays, and then I would see on the clock that it was like 2:57, and all the cars on the block would be there. So then I was like, okay, well, maybe that doesn't apply to this Wednesday.
It's confusing.
And then all the cars just like come and like leave. And then you're like, wait, I'm going to get a ticket. And then you have to leave. Like, I never understood it. And it is such a simple thing when you think about it of like, just read the sign. But it's like something doesn't compute until it does.
Okay, I'm so glad that you said this. Here's the thing. There's two things in my mind that share the same energy.
Okay.
Here's one. 2-hour parking, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Okay, so that means after 7 p.m., we're just good to park here. But it makes me feel like after 7, you can't park here at all. It's like parking closes off, which is not true. But it feels that way.
Right.
That has the same energy to me as what is it? Only in theaters this Friday. Like when a movie's coming out and it says like only in theaters this Friday.
Sure.
I'm like, when I was a kid, I always was like, why is it only coming to theaters for one day?
Right.
But it's saying
Friday
like you can only see it in theaters starting this Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should change that. I feel like those two things have the same energy. The parking sign and the theaters thing.
No, I like this theory.
That make sense?
It does. It's like the language is nuanced and it can be interpreted in a different way. And in the theater situation, it's probably a little more harmless than in a parking situation where you can get a ticket and then freak out about it.
Yeah. I've had so many times where I'll be like, oh, you can only park here like between these times. And they're like, no, that just means you can only park here for 2 hours between that time frame. But after, you don't have to like pay the meter. You're just good to be here. And I'm like, what?
Here's my hot take. I think we need to invent cars that we can drive around wherever we want and whatever. And then when we get to our destination, we climb out of the car and then we just do one of these and the car just folds up and then we can just put it in our pocket.
I love that. I really, really wish that I really, really wish that over here we could like really make public transport like a better thing. When I'm in Japan with my family, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I really am like, they got it figured out over there. The train system is amazing. You can get anywhere you want to go. It's safe, it's clean, it's good everywhere. And then once you arrive, everywhere is walkable. And it's just nice.
There's like a women only one too, right?
There's certain trains where there's like hours devoted to that train car only being for women.
I love that.
Me too. There was one time where we were getting ready to get up. I didn't realize we were getting on that train, and I realized it too late. And my brother just wasn't paying attention, I don't think. And this was long ago. Like now he's been there for a long time, so he wouldn't make this mistake now. But he was like standing with me to get on the train, and everyone was kind of like looking. And I was like, oh, you can't come here.
Funny.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, yeah, when I was living in Boston, I remember like the ease of the transit, which maybe Bostonians wouldn't call it so easy, but I love the T. I understand that it obviously has its issues and it's like backed up or late or crowded or whatever, but I loved it. I loved the ability to just be like, I can go wherever it is that I need to go for $2. Or if I have my Charlie card, that's like the monthly pass or whatever, I can go wherever I need to go, however many times I need to go. I don't need to worry about it. If I'm going to a party, if I'm going to be drinking, no worries. Yep. The transit has got me. Yeah. Like it's so interesting how when you're in a certain place, sometimes that doesn't feel always true. Like I remember being in Boston too and just being like, God, it would be so great to have a car though, because then I don't have to walk to the train with my groceries and stuff. So there's like pros and cons to both situations, you know? I think the future is Waymo.
Oh my God, really?
That's my hot take.
Why?
Again. Okay, listen. I am not fully funded on my hot take here.
Have you been in one?
I've been in 2 Waymos total, so I don't really have a large I don't have a lot of data that I'm pulling from.
Sure.
But here's how it's working in my head. I'm like, the Waymos have satellites that just like see how other cars are moving and whatever, and accidents happen because of human error.
Sure.
Because we are miscalculating or, merging lanes, not turning our turn signals on, whatever, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Waymo is detecting where cars are at all times. So I think traffic would go away. Accidents would go away. We'd all be riding in Waymos. Another thing, too, is all the cars that are just freaking backed up on the highway full of one person. Like, these are 5-seaters, 7-seaters. One person is in that car.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely don't need to be doing that. So we could do like group Waymos, Waymo bus, Waymos.
I always say that over where Bridget lives. I'm literally like, there's Waymo of those Waymos over
Right.
here. Are they electric? Don't know.
Maybe, but they should be.
Feels weird. Feels weird. Who's pumping the gas?
Right.
Where do they go?
You're right. Yeah, wait. Who do they like report to? Like,
Yeah,
where do they go when their shift is over?
Who's their leader? For those of you who don't know, if you don't have Waymo in your city,
yes.
it's literally just a driverless car. You like get in and the steering wheel just starts going, and
then you don't have to have a conversation with your Uber. You don't have to tell them like, "Excuse me, could you turn the windows up?"
I think turn the windows up.
Okay, English is my second language.
Hey, turn those windows up. I feel like I don't think that's a bad idea, but I also am like, if we're gonna go that direction, I think it should be more sustainable.
Waymo bus.
Yeah. Oh, Waymo bus is a great idea.
Right? Like that it's a public transportation system, but it is, again, still driven by these cars. I'm not sure. I told somebody else's theory and they were like, no! They were like, I've seen Waymos just crash into each other. And I was like, well, then they need to get better. And then Waymo bus.
Yeah, I know. It really would just be, it's the like, if we had a little bit more assistance and faith in our public transit, because that's the thing too, right? It's like when I get on a train in Japan, I'm like, this is great and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to get on a train here in Los Angeles, I'd be like, I need a knife. I'm scared.
But no city needs it more than LA. There's too many people out here, and we're all going to the same place or like general places. Like, it's so ridiculous to me. Every time I just see like, again, during that like rush hour time, if you just like turn your head and like look at the other highways, and it's just like full of all these cars, and it's just like, we don't need to be doing it like this.
I think so I want to pivot. I want to shift gears.
Shift it.
Into something that you said earlier, and I don't mean to sound dark here, but you said something about like taking the train if you knew you were going to be drinking, which is great and stuff. Yeah. I want to genuinely say it is 2024. If you're still drinking and driving, you're just an asshole. Like you just suck.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, drinking and driving, especially like drunk driving, it has always been inexcusable, but especially now in the era that we're in, of like, there are solutions. If you're choosing to drink and drive instead of like, because you think a Uber is pricey or a Lyft is pricey or whatever, like you're the problem. Ugh, God, it makes me so angry when there's solutions. Right. There's ways around it. Don't ever get behind the wheel of a car if you are, again, drinking, yes, but drunk.
Yeah. There really is just no excuse for it. And to do it in a city like Los Angeles, where there are already so many bad drivers and just truly unpredictable things that will happen sober, to add any sort of intoxication into that mix, like it's straight up dangerous in so many different ways. I completely agree. And it's tough too, because in LA, right, there's also this idea of like, right, like you said, status or wealth or just this idea of like, oh, I can show off and I can be cool, and oh, I drove drunk, that's so funny. And it's just like, the way that you are so unbelievably lucky, the way that it was a miracle that you made it home, don't test that. Don't try it.
No, literally don't test it, because you hear these stories that you're like, oh my God. I don't know if you heard the story that's circulating right now about a woman. I forget where she was.
Oh, in the parking lot?
No, I saw that.
That was in my
insane.
hometown.
Where she was just like going crazy in the parking lot.
Yes.
That's funny. I did see that. No, this is worse. A woman was drunk driving, hit a bride leaving her wedding, killed her. Leaving her wedding, killed the bride.
Oh my.
The rest of the family's alive. And this woman just got 25 years. So it's like, you think to yourself, I've heard people say this to me. They're like, I drive better drunk. You're an idiot.
Oh!
You're like an idiot.
That is a foul thing to ever be able to say.
Right. And so it's like people, they feel they've gotten away with it, and you can only get away with it so many times until you don't. Because imagine what that would feel like. Like, imagine what that would feel like.
I am like already perpetually terrified of hitting someone on accident, like a pedestrian.
Yes.
Like I'm so scared of just like, not even by my own fault, of like somebody just like walking and like me not seeing them. Like, I genuinely do not know what I would do with myself.
Yeah.
So to almost add to your probability of that happening, dumb. Like, just genuinely stupid. And there really is no room for that, especially now.
I had a while earlier this year, I was driving home really late at night. It was like, I don't know, the middle of the night. I don't know where I was coming from. Maybe like horror nights? I don't know. But I was driving home. There was a car in front of me on my street, right in front of my building. They were going so slow, but they were just like completely like veering, and they would veer and then they would like get alert and they'd like drive again and then they'd like veer and whatever. And I was like driving, I was like, this person's wasted. They're drunk and maybe even asleep or falling asleep. And then like right in front of my building, they started to veer and they were like, I was like, they're going to hit this parked car. And so I laid on my horn and then they straightened out and they kept going. And I was like, this person's drunk. Like, I hope they make it home. But I almost just watched them hit a car. Like, and you know what? We had a car get totaled outside of my house that was just parked there.
Right.
And then no sign of who did it and whatever. It's crazy.
It's wild.
Crazy.
Did I tell you about the accident that I just saw last week? I was driving to a Barry's class and it was like 7:30 in the morning. And there was like, so it was 2 lanes, and in the right lane, it was this car in front of me and I was right behind it. And right after the car, it was like, you have to merge into the left lane, like after this light. So me and this car were both prepared to get into the left lane after this light turned green.
Okay.
Next to us is a very large truck.
Is it a cyber truck?
No. What is it called? Not a pickup truck, but like what are the like actual like just big long trucks called?
Oh, like a semi?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think that's what
there was one of those obviously, and the other cars and whatnot. I guess in preparation for the light to turn green, the car in front of me just like slowly like started turning the wheel and just like getting in front of the truck to like be prepared to squeeze in there. And then maybe just wasn't paying attention when the light did turn green, but was in the truck's blind spot because he just like squeezed right into that little pocket of being in front of the truck.
Oh my God.
So I watched in front of me, like literally like less than 10 feet away, this truck just drive right through and total this man's car. The guy, it looked like he was okay. Like I saw him like immediately once he got hit. Literally, like I was sitting there and I went and just watched this unfold in front of me. And I wish I could have done something too, but it was just like the second that the truck started, I just was like, oh my God. And it hit immediately. There was like nothing to do. But this guy, like he just took cover and just like he like ducked while his entire car was getting hit. And then by the time like the truck realized and stopped, like they both turned into the right lane and I'm sure dealt with it there. But I'm like, at least I guess he was able to drive into that lane. So I hope they were okay.
Jeez.
But I wish I could say that was like a rare thing. Like I've seen so many almost accidents that it's just horrific to have actually watched one right in front of me. Like it gives me this like fear of like, is this about to happen? Am I about to get into an accident? Like, is that why I'm seeing all of this?
No, yeah, I completely, yeah, that's so fair to think that. It's scary. That's the thing too. I know a lot of people out there have like, they're like, I won't drive. I'm too scared. I get it. It's every time you get behind the wheel, you are in a little bit of danger, which is why you got to do your best to make sure that you're not intoxicated. You're not like feeling like you're seeing red with anger. Like, just get yourself where you need to go and make sure you keep yourself and everyone around you safe. Have you been in an accident?
I have been in like a couple of like, it has never, I have never been in an accident that was my fault. It was always like, I've been in 2 to 3 like accidents where one time it was like this truck just like, we were going straight and this truck just like drove right through into this little pocket of time and there was 0 time for me to brake. I tried braking but still ended up hitting the truck.
Ooh,
so that was like an instance. The most recent time I think in LA that had happened was it was a left turn that we were taking. We were in a left only turn. The arrow turned green. We all started to go. A car on the middle lane just decided to be like, oh, I need to be in that lane too. Jumped in front of me and hit my bumper. And then that was the situation where we had like pulled into the gas station and it was these 2 guys and they were just the biggest assholes that I've ever met. They were probably 2 17-year-old kids and they were like, why didn't you just let me in? Like, clearly I wanted to just turn into the left lane. And I was like, no.
Girl,
no,
yeah.
absolutely not. And they're like trying to blame it on me. They were like, it's your fault, like
Did
whatever.
You have Fabian with you?
Fabian was there, obviously, so he was like kind of like stepping in front and like handling it. But while we were arguing, this other guy like walked over to all of us and we like all turned and he goes, I have the entire thing on my dash cam.
Wow.
And I said, and thank you, sir. Would you be able to email that to me? And he did.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it was great. It like saved us because these 2 assholes were like, it was your fault. And Fabian and I have talked about this like the entire time that we were in LA, and we still like actually need to. If you do not have a dash cam, get one.
You have one?
We just got some.
Wow.
Like for Cyber Monday, I think they are on sale. So like just get one. It's really not that expensive on Amazon. Just get one. Have it in your car. Especially if you're in LA, it is just necessary.
Does it just start recording like when you drive?
When you drive, it just records.
How's the storage?
I think it like deletes it always just like makes room for more. But like if you ever need the footage of a past drive, you would just like save it.
That actually is smart.
It is incredibly necessary because then like again you feel that like sense of protection in case somebody does try to like do something. You can be like, no, you cannot pull a fast one on me. I have it on recording.
I have you on recording.
Right. The power move that guy was like, I have the entire thing on camera. Like that was what we had needed in that moment. You know?
Yeah.
So
That's
ridiculous.
Crazy.
What about you?
I've been, knock on wood, I've been in one accident where I was behind the wheel. And I was living in Orlando. I was leaving Disney World and it was like 10 p.m. And I was driving home. I had like a pass to Disney World, so I just went all the time and I'd be like, la, la, la. So I'm leaving and I took a wrong exit. And in Orlando, there's like a toll everywhere. And so took a wrong exit, had to drive through the toll. You get like a sun pass. This is like kind of necessary to know. Drive through the toll and basically ended up at this light, and the light was there, but the next you could just like turn, slither on back onto the freeway. So I was like, whatever, I took the wrong turn. And I'll never forget, because I don't know if you've been in an accident, you probably remember the song that was playing. Oh God, it was the Young Ma song that's like, yeah, they hate, but I'm broke though. That's what was playing, and I've never been able to listen to it since this happened. And I'm mad because it's
funny.
a bop. But so I'm listening to that, and I'm like driving, like getting ready to go on the freeway. All of a sudden, I just was like lights out, and I was like, oh my God. It was like I was sitting listening, and the next thing I knew, a second later, I was waking back up. And somebody had just definitely drunk, had barreled off the freeway like at 100 miles per hour and hit me while I was stopped at the red light.
Holy shit.
And so I woke up, my whole back car of my car is like scrunched and smashed in. And when they hit me, I had slammed my head into the wheel, and they pushed my car so forward that they turned me around and they slammed me into the median. So then I slammed into the car window. And so when I woke up, I had my head against the window and I was like, whoa. And I looked and I was completely turned. I had turned all the way around and now I was facing an exit that said, do not enter, wrong way. So that's like the first thing I see. And I'm like, what happened? And then I turn and the person has like their head like kind of against their wheel. I think I had only been out for like literally like 5 or 10 seconds. Like I just like slammed my head and was like, whoa. And then I look up and I remember I looked at the person. The first thing I said, I went, are you okay? Like I was like, is that person dead? Because they were like against their wheel. And then they looked up and they looked at me and they just were like, and I remember they backed like out and they just zoomed off. And then I was sitting there and I remember being like, oh my God, what happened? And all these people, again, it was like 10 o'clock at night. These people from a Circle K that was across the street came running and these guys like pulled me out of the car.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's when like the ambulance and like all that like stuff showed up and everyone was like, are you okay? I remember like, I just like my head hurts a little bit, but I was concerned because I really like felt like my seatbelt had like dug into like my rib cage. Yeah, that was kind of that. And I went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I was fine. I really was fine. I
Oh
was
my
just like, they were
God.
like, you should stay here. And I was like, I'm good. I also, this is probably stupid and I probably shouldn't admit this, but I did not take the ambulance ride.
Oh, I was going to say, I was like, wait, I think I have heard semblances of the story because I remember you being like, I'm not going to go through an ambulance because those are expensive.
They were like, you really need to get in the ambulance. I was like, I'm fine. And they were like, you really should go to the hospital. I was like, I'll go to the hospital, but I'm not getting in the ambulance. I really am okay. And I really was. Like, I had hit my head and I was like, whoa, I should go get checked out. I just was like, I don't need an ambulance. I know I don't. So Jitty drove to get me, and then he took me to the hospital. And they literally were like, oh yeah, you're just a little bumped up. You're fine. I was like, thank you.
Which is so lucky.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I had to like do a bunch of stuff with the police, and nothing ever came of it. They never found the person. Actually, someone who saw the accident sped and followed them, which was real as hell of them. They came back and they were like, I'm sorry, they don't have a license plate. And they were like, I was trying to like get it, but they're just gone, which was nice. And so I never got like any justice. I had to get like they totaled my car, so I had to get a whole new car. And a lot of bad things came out of that accident. But one thing that was really bad for about a year, and I feel like people don't talk about this, I had horrible vertigo when I would drive after my accident.
Oh.
I'd be driving and all of a sudden I'd like literally start spinning out and I'd have to like pull over and be like, I cannot get stabilized.
Oh.
Yeah, I had like some really bad vertigo after.
Dude, that is horrific.
Yeah, it was very scary.
That's so unbelievably scary, especially because like, you know, I'm definitely incredibly blessed. I've never been in a situation like that, like a really scary accident, but it is, I always think that I'm about to.
So scary.
Every time I'm driving, I'm always like, what if I just veered off the highway?
Yeah.
What if I just got hit right now? What if this? What if that? What if this? And there's always like almost accidents. So many.
Yeah.
I remember this one time I was driving, or somebody else was driving, but I was driving from Pennsylvania to Boston, snowing outside.
Ugh.
All of a sudden, a ton of cars just start hitting each other.
Ugh.
We ended up having like a spin situation and spun onto the other side of the road. And we were like, "Is everyone okay?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like weird when you like get into like a situation where you're like, that was really scary and could have been like actually horrible, but
Yes.
we're here, so okay. Like it's so like disorienting.
This is the last story that I have to tell, but my mom has an insane story too. This was when she just got her license. So I was like a baby. We had just immigrated to America and she was driving. It was, I believe, the situation where it was like, she was driving and it was like a yellow light. And so she drove past into the yellow light, but like another car was coming while the yellow light was still there. So she like veered off to the side and then she lost control of the wheel. And the car was just like driving and she was like freaking out and it was going too fast. She was heading toward a gas station and she was about to crash into that.
Oh my God.
And she was just like, and she said that she had like accepted it. Like she was like, oh my God, I'm about to literally crash into this gas station.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she's like, the emergency brake.
Oh.
And pulls the emergency brakes and said that it was maybe 2 feet away from the crash.
Oh my God.
And again, another story that I will never, ever forget. Like, and she was by herself.
Yeah.
And she just was like, ever since then, like she has been a cautious driver. And like that's the kind of stuff that's like, oh my God, that literally was a miracle.
Oh, I just got chills because it's scary. It's scary. And I think we all just need to do our part and it's just like, you never need to be somewhere so bad that you're putting your life and others at risk. So just slow down a little bit.
Which is also so nice. I feel like that is the rhetoric between all of my friends and family now of always just like, on my way, and it's like, drive safely.
I love the ETA sharing function on Apple. I mean, I called you on my way here, I always do that. Like when I'm coming to see you or anyone, you know, or coming here, I like to share it. I like to know. And I like, you know, I do it with my girlfriend and whatever, like and she does it with me. So it's like, it's just nice to see.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Like, and then if something, God forbid, happened, you know where I am.
Right.
You know?
It also helps avoid the need to text someone of, oh, traffic just like bumped up my ETA.
Yep.
They already know.
Yeah.
They were alerted.
Yep.
Or, hey, I'm pulling up. No need.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be alerted through the sharing of the ETA. Overall, like we didn't even get into texting and driving, which is kind of funny because I feel like nobody cares about that anymore. And it's like
it's crazy.
It's a lot. And a lot of the times why so much traffic is forming is because people see a little bit of traffic and then they're like, okay, time to go on TikTok. And it's like, are you kidding?
I see people, I literally have had so many times where I drive by and people are literally just going like this. I'm like, who are you texting? Also, another thing I don't understand is when I see people having AirPods in the car.
Yeah.
What's that about?
No, not cool.
I think I have an idea for our Spitball because do we have one mapped out?
I have an idea as well, but you go for it.
I was just going to say that I think we should offer some like driving tips that we have accumulated throughout our years driving.
I love that.
But what's yours?
Well, I think we can mix them together because I wanted to know how you learned how to drive.
Oh, okay.
So maybe like kind of combine those. Like what were the tips that you learned? How have you been able to maintain like being a good and safe driver?
Okay.
Which, do you consider yourself a good driver?
I do. I do consider myself a good driver because again, like I'm not doing anything reckless. I'm literally like if I have a passenger that's like, can you like no. I'm literally just like la, la, la.
Right.
I consider myself safe, especially if I have precious cargo, like my girlfriend, my friends, my mom, you know. It's like
precious cargo is good.
Do you consider yourself a safe driver?
I think so as well, especially with the speed lately. Like ever since I had gotten my first speeding ticket, especially, I've been like, you know what? I'm never going more than 5 to 10 max over the speed limit. Like that is kind of where I just really don't touch it. And again, even before that, I wasn't like driving like a crazy person. Again, like I had never gotten a ticket before that. So hopefully that's an indicator of not that I didn't get caught, but that I have been a safe driver. I've always been, that's how I was taught. Like, I don't know if you did like a course or anything, but I did parent taught. Yeah, which was like, I mean, maybe that's like a made up thing, but it was like where my parents had instructed me like how to drive or whatever. Okay. So I had gotten like my permit and I got it right away. I was the first one of my friends to get my permit and my license. And I remember...
You passed it first try?
First try.
Nice.
I remember needing it so badly.
Yeah.
I hated asking people for a ride. I absolutely hated it. I didn't want my parents to have to like feel the burden of like dropping me off and picking me up and doing whatever. But I also like hated being like, hey, could you maybe drive me to this like event that all my friends are going to that you're also going to, but like I barely know you, but like, you know, my brother. Like, like I hated all of those interactions. So I was like, I need to get my car right away. It was like an independent thing. Yeah. And then I can just take care of myself and do whatever I need. So I remember getting it pretty much right away when I was 15 and then 16. And it was interesting. My mom was always way more cautious than my dad when it came to behind the wheel, which is just the difference, like that is different with every other situation. My mom is so much more relaxed and my dad is like strict. But with driving, my mom was like worried and like, you know, I mean, again, with these stories that I told you, it makes sense. Versus my dad, who was pretty much like almost immediately just kind of like, you got it.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing a great job. This is easy. This is good.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
yeah. How about you?
Parent taught. Interesting. I had to take driver's ed. I also got my permit on my first try. I was like, slay.
Yeah.
I took driver's ed with a gentleman named Mr. Blaha. And he was really nice.
Aww.
And it was great. I took it with my two friends, and so we kind of like messed around, but we loved Mr. Blaha, so it was great. And then he would come like pick me up, and like you would like schedule out days where he would like drive to my house, and then like you'd get in the car and you'd drive around
And go hook up.
If you saw what this man looked like,
Yeah. Also, sorry, you were like a minor, so it's just.
Right. So we did that. Like it was like the kind of car where like he had brakes on his side and stuff too. God, it must be really scary to be a driving instructor.
Oh my gosh.
I did that. I did not have a lot of time spent driving with my parents at all. And if anyone, my brother. But by the time I took my driver's test, I'm pretty sure I just lied. Like, you know how you have to I had to fill out like this many hours spent driving.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, sure.
Right.
And then I took my driver test and I passed it on the first try,
Yeah.
which I felt great. Like I know a lot of people don't do that. A lot of my friends, like I had friends that were taking the driver's test like 5 times, and I was like, what are you doing? Starting the test in reverse? Like,
No,
what are you doing?
Actually, though, mine also felt incredibly simple.
Yeah.
I remember like just being like, okay, so all I have to do is just drive slow and give a exaggerated stop at a stop sign and turn my turn signal on like before I need to. Like it felt pretty simple in the moment. I also remember my not like my driver instructor, but like somebody who I was like inside of the process with had asked for my number when I was like getting my driver's license, and I was like, my father is right there, and also I'm 16.
Oh yes, like someone at the DMV or something. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I remember.
So I love the DMV.
I remember. Actually, 2 things just really quick.
Yeah,
I remember in my town. If you know who Travis Pastrana is, he's part of like Nitro Circus, and he's got like a whole like cool thing that he does. And he's like a stunt guy, kind of like, I don't want to say like Jackass, but like Jackass adjacent. Like he does like BMX, like all this cool stuff. Anyways, he's like from my town. And he has, I don't know if he has it anymore, but when I was growing up, he had like this like open area where kids could like go and like BMX and like try like cool stunts and whatever. And I remember Mr. Blaha, one of our driving days, we drove over to Travis Pastrana's like area where he did that. And Mr. Blaha was like, I just wanted to come over here. It's so cool.
Aww.
And it was really nice. I was like, that's so sweet. And then also switching gears, I remember the woman who was in my car during like my actual driving test was such a bitch. I remember she was, because I was trying to be like so polite and be like, I'm a stand-up driver.
Right.
I also was like, you know, we watched the episode of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody where like London's like learning to drive, and
the Brindle.
The Brindle. And I just was like, I have to like know what I'm doing. I can't be like London. And so I'm like driving, and I remember she's like sitting there. She's like, what is that speed limit? Or she goes, I have a question for you. What does that speed limit sign say? And I was like, 25 miles per hour. And she goes, well, maybe you should go that. Because I was going like 23. And I literally was like, oh, okay.
That is so freaking annoying. And you know that those people just enjoy doing that stuff.
Right.
I've seen that so many times because I've gone to drop off some friends to like do their DMV test. And I remember like little instances of them being like, oh, and like, where do you like undo like the fog on the front? And I'd be like, oh, I think it's that one. She'd be like, you think or you know?
Right. Yeah, they do that. They like to do that.
I'm like, why? Why must you be miserable at the DMV?
It's part of it. I've told it on the story. I had to retake my driver's license photo last year. I don't know why I did.
Yeah,
It was
sort
just
of
like
like
expiring, and then I had
yeah.
to get a new one. So I go and it was on my birthday, and I looked nice, by the way. It was my literal birthday. And she goes, oh, you're going to be really upset. And I was like, why? She goes, you got to retake your driver's license photo today. I go, oh, I'm not upset. She goes, oh, really? I would have thought you wanted to put on some makeup. I was like,
Gagged.
I literally was like, I'm a lesbian, bitch. I just look like this. Like, I'm not, like, you know, I was like.
That is so funny.
I literally was like, I look fine. And you know what? I do look hot in my driver's license photo.
Period.
Look like I do, I think.
Yeah. Have you heard of like the driver's license makeup that you have to do? Like specifically matching to what their camera is and what will like be highlighted on your face.
Oh,
so there's like
really?
specific like DMV makeup to wear.
I can't tell you how much I don't care. You should see my passport. It literally my passport looks like photo. I was so hungover and maybe drunk when I went to get it taken.
Yeah.
And I literally remember I was like, that's the kind of picture you see like on the news when it's like, we found this crackhead in a ditch this morning. That's what my passport photo looks like, actually.
I cannot wait to see that, actually.
It's me, and I'm just like...
Mine's just orange. Mine's just literally them being like, we're just trying to fix the saturation here.
Trying to get the white balance. I mean,
you look great. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
All right, well... What the audience doesn't know is we got a long day.
We have got a long day.
So it's time to wrap it up.
And here's what we'll say, guys, take the wheel.
And don't just be fine.
Just be a good driver, be considerate, think about how other people have places to be and how, you know, you're sharing the road. So think about how you would want to be treated on the road as well. Use your turn signal, adjust your mirrors. Use your seat warmers. I just enjoy doing that.
I do too. Yeah. That's great.
It's fun.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Drop a like, a comment, a review. Tune in next week, the week after that, the week after that, the week after that.
And just like rewatch some episodes, you know?
Some episodes.
Go back.
We're going to have...
Bye-bye.
Bye.